Captain Lee Dongwu looked out the window of his ship at the strange alien vessels floating in space. After 300 years of dreaming about this moment, humans had finally met other intelligent life. The ships were beautiful, made of some kind of crystal that caught the light from distant stars. "They're keeping their distance," said Dr. Park Ji-hai, checking her instruments. "Much farther than we expected." Lee nodded. The alien ship stayed several million kilometers away, far enough that they needed special communication equipment just to talk. It seemed odd for a first meeting, but maybe aliens had different ideas about personal space. "Incoming message," announced Kim Tae-ho, Earth's first ambassador to aliens. He had trained for this job his whole life, learning dozens of human languages and studying every theory about alien contact. Nothing had prepared him for this. The main screen flickered and a strange being appeared. It looked like living crystal, with light flowing through its body. When it spoke, the words came through a computer translator. "Greetings, beings of the third planet. I am Veltar of the Galactic Federation. We have observed your recent achievement of faster-than-light travel." Admiral Choi Soo-jin stepped forward. She had insisted on coming along just in case things went wrong. "We are honored to meet you. I am Admiral Choi of Earth's Space Defense Force." The crystal being seemed to shift nervously. "Space Defense Force? You have military vessels." "Well, yes," Choi replied. "We need to protect ourselves and our colonies." There was a long pause. "Protect? From what?" Dr. Park jumped in, trying to be helpful. "Oh, the usual things. Space debris, solar storms, hostile environments. Earth can be pretty dangerous, so we learned to be prepared." The alien's light dimmed noticeably. "Your home planet is dangerous?" "Not too bad," Park laughed. "I mean, we have hurricanes, earthquakes, volcanoes, tornadoes. The weather can be rough sometimes, but humans are tough. We adapt." Ambassador Kim watched as the alien seemed to shake. He tried to change the subject. "Perhaps we could tell you about Earth's beauty. We have vast oceans, mountain ranges that reach into the clouds, forest full of life." "Oceans," Veltar's voice cracked. "How? How large are these oceans?" "About 70% of the planet's surface," Kim said proudly. "Some parts are over 11 kilometers deep. We love to swim in them, sail on them, dive down to explore them." "You enter the liquid?" The alien's light flickered wildly. "Voluntarily?" Lee decided to help. "Swimming is very popular on Earth. Even our children learn to do it. It's quite safe as long as you watch out for the marine life." "Marine life?" Veltar whispered. "Fish, whales, sharks, jellyfish," Dr. Park listed cheerfully. "Some can be dangerous, but most are harmless. The big blue whales are actually gentle giants, even though they're the size of buildings." The screen went dark for several minutes. When it came back, Veltar looked different, somehow dimmer. "You have creatures the size of buildings in your oceans. And you swim with them?" "Well, not exactly with them," Admiral Choi corrected. "Though some people do swim with dolphins and smaller whales. Sharks are usually not a problem if you're careful." "Sharks?" The word seemed to cause the alien physical pain. Dr. Park tried to reassure him. "They're not that bad. Most shark attacks happen in shallow water. Deep ocean swimming is usually safer, except for the pressure and temperature changes." Kim saw that the alien was becoming more upset and tried to steer the conversation elsewhere. "Perhaps we should discuss trade. Earth has many resources that might interest the Federation." What kind of resources?" Veltar asked carefully. "We have metals, rare elements, biological compounds," Kim replied. "Our planet has quite a variety because of all the geological activity." "Geological activity?" "You know, tectonic plates, volcanic activity, mountain building," Dr. Park explained. "It keeps things interesting. Last month we had a magnitude 7 earthquake in the Pacific Ring of Fire. No major damage. Thankfully." The alien made a sound that the translator couldn't process. Lee noticed that other alien ships seemed to be moving farther away. "Is everything all right, Veltar? Your fleet seems to be retreating." "We are adjusting our position for safety," Veltar replied weakly. Admiral Choi frowned. "Safety from what?" "We're not armed. This is a diplomatic mission." "You said you have military forces," Veltar pointed out. "For defense only," Choi assured him. "We're a peaceful species. We only fight when we have to." "Fight? You engage in combat?" "Sometimes," Kim admitted. "Usually to protect our families and homes. It's not something we enjoy, but humans will defend what they love." Dr. Park nodded. "Competition is part of human nature. We play sports, compete in business, even have academic competitions. It makes us stronger. Sports? Veltar asked faintly. Games where we test our physical and mental abilities, Park explained. Running, jumping, fighting sports like boxing and martial arts, team games like football and rugby. Fighting. For entertainment? It's great exercise, Admiral Choi added. Keeps us in shape. I still practice taekwondo twice a week. The alien's light was now barely visible. You voluntarily engage in physical combat. For pleasure? Lee tried to lighten the mood. Perhaps we could arrange a cultural exchange. Some of your people could visit Earth and some of ours could visit your worlds. The response was immediate and panicked. No, that would not be advisable. At this time, Kim looked confused. But surely cultural exchange is important for building relationships. Yes, but your world sounds very unique. We would need time to prepare. Much time, perhaps several of your decades, Dr. Park blinked. Decades? Just to visit? We have safety protocols, Veltar explained quickly. Many safety protocols, for everyone's well-being. Admiral Choi was getting suspicious. Are you saying Earth is too dangerous for your people? Not dangerous exactly, Veltar said carefully. Simply, beyond our current safety guidelines. Lee felt insulted. Earth is a beautiful, life-giving world. Yes, it has challenges, but that's what makes it special. Humans have lived there for hundreds of thousands of years. Hundreds of thousands of years. Veltar's voice was barely a whisper. In those conditions? Those conditions made us who we are, Dr. Park said with pride. We're survivors, we adapt, we overcome. The screen suddenly went black. When it flickered back to life, Veltar was gone, replaced by a different alien. This is Commander Zexhal of the Federation Fleet. This meeting is concluded. We will contact you when we have completed our evaluation. Evaluation of what? Kim demanded. But the screen was already dark and the alien ships were moving away at incredible speed. Lee turned to his crew. Well, that was unexpected. Admiral Choi watched the retreating ships on her tactical display. They're not just leaving. They're fleeing. But why? Dr. Park asked. We were perfectly friendly. Kim shook his head slowly. I think, he said, we may have given them the wrong impression about Earth somehow. As the alien fleet disappeared into hyperspace, the humans were left alone in the void, confused and slightly hurt by their first contact with galactic civilization. They had no idea that they had just been classified as the most terrifying species the galaxy had ever encountered. Dr. Yoon Min-ho floated in his environmental suit, staring at the massive space station ahead. The Federation's threat assessment station looked like a giant metal flower, with petals that sparkled with energy shields. He had been invited here to observe humanity's classification hearing, and he felt honored. Research Director Nam So-young floated beside him, checking her translation device. This should be routine, she said confidently. They'll probably classify us as a standard inhabited world, maybe caution, developing species at worst. Their escort, a floating jellyfish-like creature, guided them through multiple security checkpoints. Each one seemed more serious than the last, with weapons that could vaporize entire ships. It seemed like overkill for a simple classification hearing. Inside the station, they were led to an observation chamber overlooking a vast meeting hall. Hundreds of different alien species filled the space, all focused on a central platform where Earth's data was being displayed. Welcome, humans, said a voice behind them. They turned to see a being made of swirling gas contained in a transparent suit. I am Bexhai, Xenobiologist Supreme. We have been studying your world for 6 months now. Nam smiled politely. We're eager to join the galactic community. Earth has much to offer. Bexhai's gas swirled in what might have been nervousness. Yes, we have noticed. Tell me, is it true that your planet's surface is 70% liquid? Yes, our oceans, Yoon replied. They're beautiful, full of life, and you enter this liquid? We love swimming, Nam said. It's relaxing. Bexhai's gas turned a darker color. I see. And the remaining 30% of your surface? Land masses, Yoon explained. Continents, islands, mountains, forests, deserts. Deserts, Bexhai repeated. Areas of extreme temperature and limited water. Some are hot, some are cold, Nam agreed. The Sahara can reach 50 degrees Celsius, while Antarctica drops to -80. Bexhai made a sound like escaping steam. And humans live in these places? Sure, Yoon said. We have cities in deserts, research stations in Antarctica. Humans are adaptable. Down in the meeting hall, an argument seemed to be breaking out. Aliens were waving appendages and making sounds that stressed the translation systems. The display showed Earth's weather patterns, and several delegates appeared to faint. "What are they discussing?" Nam asked. A new voice answered. It came from a cluster of small insect-like creatures that spoke in unison. "We are Krenal, Chief Safety Assessor. The committee cannot agree on your classification." "What's the problem?" Yoon asked. "Earth is a perfectly normal planet." The insect cluster buzzed with what sounded like panic. "Normal? Your atmospheric pressure would crush 60% of known species. Your gravity would paralyze another 30%. Your oxygen levels are toxic to most life forms," Nam frowned. "But many species must have evolved in similar conditions." "No," Krenal replied. "In 70 million years of galactic exploration, we have never encountered a world like yours that produced intelligent life." On the main display, new information appeared. Temperature ranges, weather patterns, geological activity. With each new piece of data, more aliens left the hall, some being carried out by medical personnel. "Your planet experiences hurricanes," Bexhai read from the data. "Rotating storm systems with winds exceeding 300 kilometers per hour. Only the really big ones," Yoon said helpfully. "Most are much smaller." "Most?" Krenal's voice rose several octaves. "How many of these occur?" "Maybe a dozen major ones each year," Nam replied. "We have warning systems now, so they're not usually a problem." The gas in Bexhai's suit turned bright red. "A dozen each year? And humans simply endure them?" "We evacuate when we can, rebuild when we have to," Yoon said with a shrug. "That's life." Down below, the committee was reviewing more data. Earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, tsunamis, tornadoes. Each revelation caused more chaos in the assembly. "Here's something interesting," Nam said, pointing to the display. "They have our sports data." The screen showed footage of humans playing football, boxing, running marathons. In the assembly hall, several delegates were carried out on stretchers. "You voluntarily engage in physical combat?" Krenal asked weakly. "It's fun," Yoon replied. "Good exercise." "And this marathon event?" "Running 42 kilometers without stopping," Nam explained. "It's a popular sport. People train for years to participate." Bexhai's gas was now swirling violently. 42 kilometers. Without mechanical assistance? "Using only their legs," Yoon confirmed. "The record is just over 2 hours." 2 hours, Bexhai whispered. 2 hours of continuous physical exertion. "That's actually pretty fast," Nam added. "Most people take 3 to 5 hours. The meeting hall erupted in chaos. Aliens were fleeing in all directions, some triggering emergency evacuation protocols. The main display shut down as if the information was too dangerous to show. A new alien approached their observation chamber. This one looked like a walking tree, with bark-like skin and leaves for hair. "I am Senior Counselor Trixvin. We need to ask you some questions." "Of course," Nam said. "We want to be helpful." "These activities you describe," Trixvin said carefully, "are they performed by specially trained individuals? Elite specimens of your species?" Yoon and Nam exchanged glances. "No," Yoon replied. "Pretty much anyone can learn to swim or run. Most humans do these things for fun." "Fun," Trixvin repeated. "You consider physical exertion to be enjoyable?" "Very much so," Nam said. "We have fitness clubs where people pay to exercise. Gyms, they're called. You pay to experience physical strain? It makes us feel good," Yoon explained. "Releases endorphins. Natural mood enhancers." Trixvin's leaves began falling off. "Your bodies produce chemical rewards for enduring hardship?" "That's a simplified way to put it," Nam said, "but yes." Below them, the assembly hall was nearly empty. Only a few of the hardiest species remained, and they were huddled together for support. "There's been some debate," Trixvin said slowly, "about your classification. Some want to label Earth as an extinction-level death world. Others suggest quarantine mandatory." "That seems extreme," Yoon protested. "Earth is our home. We love it there." "Yes," Trixvin said quietly. "That's what terrifies us," Krenal buzzed nervously. "Most species flee from danger. You seem to embrace it." "We don't seek out danger," Nam corrected. "We just don't let it stop us from living our lives." "But your recreational activities," Bexhai said. "They involve deliberate exposure to physical stress, potential injury, exhaustion." That's how we grow stronger, Yoon replied. Challenge makes us better. The three aliens exchanged what might have been meaningful looks, though it was hard to tell with such different anatomy. We need, Trixvin said finally, to see a demonstration. A demonstration of what? Nam asked. Normal human activity, Kreenal said. What you consider routine physical behavior, Yoon smiled. That sounds easy enough. We have prepared a special facility, Bexhai added, with extensive safety measures. Safety measures for what? Nam asked. For us, Trixvin replied quietly. We want to observe from a safe distance. How far away? Yoon asked. Another star system, Kreenal admitted. Nam blinked. You want to watch us exercise from another star system? We will use remote sensors, Bexhai explained quickly. Very advanced remote sensors. As they were escorted to the testing facility, Yoon couldn't shake the feeling that somehow they had given the wrong impression about humanity. Again, but how wrong could a simple exercise demonstration go? Sergeant Oh Hyunwoo stepped into the testing facility and whistled appreciatively. The Federation had built what looked like a small gymnasium inside a massive reinforced chamber. The walls were thick enough to withstand nuclear explosions, and force fields shimmered around every surface. This is nice, he said, bouncing on his toes to test the artificial gravity. Feels just like Earth. Engineer Kang Da-eun was examining the equipment. Heavy-duty exercise machines, weights, and what looked like monitoring devices covered every surface. They really went all out, she said. Though some of this stuff looks like it could handle a spacecraft engine. Student Im Jae-sung, the youngest of the group, was excited just to be there. At 22, he had volunteered for the cultural exchange program straight out of university. Do you think they'll want to see Taekwondo? He asked. I've been practicing since I was 5. Dr. An Ye-jin, their medical officer, was more concerned with the observation setup. Through thick, transparent barriers, she could see alien scientists operating equipment from what appeared to be underground bunkers. Why are they so far away? She wondered. A voice came through the communication system. It was Veltar, the crystalline being from their first contact. Greetings, humans. We are ready to observe your normal physical activities. Great, Sergeant O replied. Should I start with some basic exercises? Maybe a light warm-up? There was a pause. Please proceed with whatever you consider normal. O shrugged and began with simple stretching. He bent forward to touch his toes, rotated his shoulders, twisted his spine. Through the barriers, alien scientists frantically took notes as their instruments registered flexibility levels that exceeded their measurement ranges. This is how humans prepare for physical activity? Feltar asked. Just limbering up, O replied, dropping into a casual push-up position. Can't jump straight into exercise without warming up first. He began doing push-ups, counting quietly to himself. By the time he reached 50, several alien observers had fled their stations. The remaining scientists watched in horror as their instruments showed muscle contractions that should have torn human tissue apart. 50 repetitions, Veltar whispered, without mechanical assistance. That's just the warm-up, O said cheerfully, moving on to sit-ups. I usually do 100 of these. Engineer Kang had found what looked like a weightlifting station. The smallest weight was marked in alien symbols, but when she tried to lift it, it felt surprisingly light. This can't be right, she muttered, adding more weights. This feels like maybe 20 kilograms. She was actually lifting the equivalent of 200 kilograms, but to her it felt normal. The alien observers watched in stunned silence as she casually performed exercises with weights designed to test their heaviest construction machinery. Are these calibrated correctly? She called out. They seem too light, no one answered. Several alien scientists had passed out. Student Im, meanwhile, had found an open area and was demonstrating basic martial arts forms. His movements were fluid and controlled, but to the observers they looked like a deadly weapon in action. Each punch and kick generated forces that could shatter alien bones. This is just basic form practice, he explained, moving through a complex series of techniques. Want to see some sparring moves? No, came a panicked chorus from the observation areas. Dr. An was monitoring her own vital signs, curious about what the alien instruments would show. Interesting, she said, reading the displays. My resting heart rate is apparently in their extreme stress range. She decided to demonstrate human endurance by jogging in place. Within minutes, the alien medical instruments were flashing warning signals that indicated imminent biological failure. I feel fine, she reported. Actually, this is kind of relaxing. Through the barriers, She could see alien medics being called to treat their own scientists who had collapsed from watching the display. Sergeant O had moved on to what he considered light calisthenics. Jumping jacks, burpees, mountain climbers, each movement registered on alien instruments as impacts that could damage their spacecraft hulls. "How do you feel?" Feltar asked weakly. "Good," O replied, breathing easily. "Getting my blood flowing. Should I move on to some real exercise now?" "Real exercise?" The question came out as a terrified squeak. "This is just the basic stuff," O explained. "Want to see some strength training? Or maybe cardio? I could run a few kilometers." "Kilometers?" Feltar sounded faint. "Sure," Engineer Kang added, setting down weights that had left permanent impressions on the reinforced floor. "On Earth, people run marathons for fun. 42 kilometers without stopping. For fun?" Student Im nodded enthusiastically. "My grandmother runs marathons. She's 73 and has completed 15 of them." The communication system went silent for several minutes. When Veltar spoke again, his voice was barely audible. "You're elderly. Engage in these activities?" "Granny Park is amazing," Im said proudly. "She also does yoga and plays tennis twice a week." Dr. An looked up from her monitoring equipment. "Speaking of pain tolerance, should I demonstrate that?" "I brought some medical testing equipment." "Pain tolerance?" Veltar asked. "Sure," An replied. "How humans handle discomfort." "It's pretty basic stuff." She pulled out what looked like a simple medical pin. "This is for testing nerve response," she explained, pricking her finger. A small drop of blood appeared. In the observation areas, alarms began wailing. The blood drop registered on alien instruments as evidence of catastrophic tissue damage. "Are you injured?" Veltar cried. "Should we send medical assistance?" An looked at the tiny pinprick. "What this?" "It's nothing, see?" She squeezed the finger, producing another small drop of blood. "It'll heal in a few hours." More aliens collapsed. Emergency medical teams were being called to treat the observers. Sergeant O, seeing the commotion, tried to be helpful. "If you want to see real pain tolerance, I could show you some military training exercises. We learn to function with broken bones, wounds, exhaustion." "Stop!" Veltar screamed. "Please, no more demonstrations." The humans looked at each other in confusion. "Did we do something wrong?" Kang asked. "You have done nothing wrong," Veltar replied, his voice shaking. "You have simply exceeded our ability to observe safely." "But we haven't even gotten to the good stuff yet," O protested. "This was just basic maintenance exercise." "Basic maintenance?" "Yeah, you know," Im added. "The minimum amount of exercise to stay healthy. Most humans do much more than this." Through the barriers, they could see alien medical teams evacuating their own scientists. The observation areas were being sealed off as biohazard zones. "We need," Veltar said carefully, "to end this demonstration." "Already?" Dr. An asked. "We could show you sports next. Football, rugby, boxing, mixed martial arts." "Lockdown," came a shriek from the control systems. "Initiate facility lockdown." Red lights flashed as blast doors slammed shut around the humans. They found themselves sealed in the testing chamber while alarms wailed throughout the station. "I think," Engineer Kang said slowly, "we may have made another bad impression." Student Im nodded. "Maybe we should have started with something gentler. Like chess." "Too late now," Sergeant O said, sitting down to wait. "Though I have to say, their reaction seems a bit extreme." Dr. An was still monitoring the alien instruments, which continued to show readings that indicated the humans should have died several times over. "I think," she said quietly, "we may have just redefined what the galaxy considers possible." Outside their sealed chamber, Federation scientists were having emergency meetings about whether Earth should be reclassified, not as a planet, but as a galactic-level threat. The humans, meanwhile, sat peacefully in their reinforced prison, wondering why aliens were so fragile and hoping someone would bring them some water soon. All that light exercise had made them a little thirsty. Professor Song Woo-jin had never seen anything like the Federation's highest security research station. It hung in space like a giant metal brain, protected by energy shields that could stop supernovas. Getting here had required clearance from 7 different alien councils, and a promise that humans would not demonstrate any physical activities. Captain Ryu Hana floated beside him, her military training making her suspicious of the extreme security measures. "Why all the protection?" she asked their escort, a being that looked like liquid mercury in a glass suit. "You will understand soon," the being replied. Its voice sounded tired, as if carrying a great weight. I am designated as the collective mind, the Federation's oldest intelligence. I have existed for 3 million years, and in all that time, I have never encountered anything like your species. They were led through corridors lined with screens showing data about Earth, gravity measurements, atmospheric composition, geological activity, weather patterns, but there were also new things: evolutionary trees, survival statistics, and what looked like horror movies of humans doing everyday activities. You've been busy, Professor Song observed. We have analyzed every piece of data about your world, the collective mind replied. We have studied your history, your biology, your culture. What we discovered has changed our understanding of life itself. They entered a vast chamber where Prime Scholar Zenkar, a tree-like being covered in crystalline flowers, was waiting. Around the room, holographic displays showed thousands of different planets. Welcome to the Archive of Worlds, Zenkar said, its voice like wind through leaves. Here we keep records of every planet the Federation has encountered in millions of years of exploration. Professor Song looked around at the displays. Some showed garden worlds with purple skies and gentle rains. Others depicted harsh, rocky planets with no atmosphere. How many worlds have you found? Over 4 million inhabited planets, Zenkar replied. And until now they all fell into 3 categories. The displays changed, showing 3 types of worlds. The first were beautiful garden planets where everything lived in harmony. Gentle weather, peaceful evolution, no natural disasters. Paradise worlds, the collective mind explained, where life evolved without struggle. Most Federation species come from such places. The second type showed harsh, dead planets, extreme temperatures, poisonous atmospheres, violent geological activity. Death worlds, Zenkar said. Too hostile for complex life to develop. We visit them only for mining operations, and even then, only with heavy protection. Captain Ryu studied the third category. These showed planets that seemed to be in between. Not quite paradise, not quite dead. What about these? Challenged worlds, the collective mind replied. Difficult, but not impossible. They produce hardy species, but life there struggles to advance beyond basic survival. Professor Song frowned. Where does Earth fit in this classification? The displays changed again, showing Earth, but this time the data was overlaid with Federation analysis. Temperature ranges that spanned over 100 degrees, weather systems that could level cities, geological activity that reshaped continents. Earth, Zenkar said quietly, doesn't fit any category. By all our measurements, it should be a death world. No complex life should be possible there. But obviously it is possible, Ryu pointed out. That's what terrifies us, the collective mind replied. In 3 million years we have developed theories about a fourth type of world. We called them nightmare worlds. Planets so hostile that they would forge species capable of surviving anywhere. Forge? Song asked. Imagine a species that evolved under conditions so harsh that the rest of the galaxy seems easy by comparison, Zenkar explained. A species that finds challenge enjoyable, that grows stronger through hardship, that considers extreme conditions to be normal. The displays showed new data. Human athletic records, military training programs, survival statistics. Professor Song began to understand. You're saying Earth didn't just produce life, he said slowly. It produced apex predators. Worse than apex predators, the collective mind corrected. Apex predators dominate their environment. Humans transcend theirs. Captain Ryu was studying the military data. What specifically worries you about human capabilities? Everything, Zenkar replied simply. Your physical capabilities exceed those of our heaviest construction equipment. Your endurance surpasses our automated systems. Your ability to function while injured would be considered miraculous by our standards. But we're not trying to threaten anyone, Song protested. We know, the collective mind said sadly. That's what makes it worse. You don't even realize how extraordinary you are. New displays appeared showing Federation species alongside human capabilities. The comparisons were shocking. A human child could outrun most adult aliens. An elderly human could lift weights that would crush Federation citizens. A sick human was stronger than most healthy aliens. Your demonstration at the testing facility, Zenkar said, was considered by our scientists to be impossible. The forces you generated, the impacts you sustained, the endurance you displayed. Our instruments couldn't believe the readings. That was just basic exercise, Ryu said. Yes, the collective mind replied. That's exactly the problem. Professor Song was beginning to grasp the magnitude of the situation. You're not afraid we'll attack you. You're afraid we'll exist. If humans can survive on Earth, Zenkar explained, they can survive anywhere in the galaxy. Any environment that challenges other species would be comfortable for humans. Any world that threatens us would be a vacation destination for you. The displays showed star maps with thousands of planets marked in red. These are worlds we consider too dangerous to visit, the collective mind said. Death worlds, toxic worlds, worlds with extreme gravity or radiation. To humans, they would probably seem pleasant. That's the true scope of the problem, Zenkar continued. It's not that humans are dangerous. It's that humans make danger irrelevant. Captain Ryu was studying the implications. You think we could colonize the galaxy? We think you could colonize anywhere in the galaxy, the collective mind corrected. Places where we cannot go, environments that would kill us in minutes, you could call home. And that threatens the Federation how? It doesn't threaten us, Zenkar said. It makes us obsolete. Professor Song felt a chill. What do you mean? For millions of years, the Federation has existed because space is dangerous, the collective mind explained. We need each other for protection, for support, for survival in hostile environments. But if there's a species that doesn't need protection, a species that thrives in hostile environments, Zenkar added, a species that considers our greatest challenges to be minor inconveniences, the collective mind continued. Then what's the point of the rest of us? Zenkar finished. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Humans weren't just another species joining the galactic community. They were a fundamental change to how life worked in the universe. There's more, the collective mind said quietly. We've analyzed your culture, your history, your psychology. You don't just survive extreme conditions, you seek them out. You call it adventure, exploration, challenge. You voluntarily expose yourselves to danger for psychological satisfaction. Zenkar said in wonder. You have turned survival into entertainment. Professor Song thought about rock climbing, deep sea diving, extreme sports, space exploration. Things humans did for fun that would be suicide missions for most aliens. So what happens now? Captain Ryu asked. The collective mind's liquid form shifted in what might have been a smile. Now we figure out how to coexist with a species that has just redefined what's possible in this galaxy. Whether we want to or not, Zenkar added, the universe just became a much more interesting place. As they prepared to leave, Professor Song looked back at the data displays still showing human capabilities compared to galactic norms. The numbers were so far outside normal ranges that they looked like measurement errors, but they weren't errors. They were just humans being human, and apparently that was the most terrifying thing the galaxy had ever encountered. Ambassador Lee Subin stood before the Federation Council, looking out at representatives from 3,000 different species. 6 months ago, this room had been in chaos over humanity's classification. Today it buzzed with the excited energy of possibility. Order, called the council speaker, a floating jellyfish-like being whose bioluminescent patterns had learned to display human-readable text. Ambassador Lee has the floor. Lee smiled, still amazed that she was here. The first human to address the full Galactic Council, representing a species that had accidentally redefined civilization. Thank you, honored counselors, she began. 6 months ago, you discovered that humans are unusual. Today, I want to talk about how that's actually good news for everyone. Admiral Park Jun-ho sat in the human delegation area, watching the alien reactions carefully. As commander of Earth's growing interstellar fleet, he had learned to read alien body language. Most species were still nervous around humans, but there was hope in their postures now. The Proxima incident last month proved what we suspected, Lee continued. Humans can go places and do things that benefit the entire galaxy. The main display showed footage from Proxima Centauri b, where a toxic waste spill had threatened to poison an entire star system. Federation cleanup crews couldn't get close enough to help. The radiation and chemical contamination would have killed any alien crew in minutes, but a team of human volunteers had landed on the planet in basic protective suits and cleaned up the spill in 3 days. What they called challenging but manageable work had saved billions of alien lives. The humans didn't just survive conditions that would kill us, noted Counselor Vexhai, a crystalline being. They seemed to enjoy the challenge. Director Huang Mi-young, head of Earth's Galactic Integration Department, nodded. That's exactly the point. What you consider impossible, we consider interesting. She activated new displays showing human activities across the galaxy. Humans working in environments that no other species could survive. Deep space construction projects in radiation fields. Disaster relief on worlds with poisonous atmospheres. Exploration of planets that had been written off as too dangerous to visit. In 6 months, Huang explained, human volunteers have opened up 17 worlds that were previously inaccessible. We've solved toxic contamination problems that have existed for centuries. We've made it possible to explore regions of space that were considered forbidden zones. Admiral Park stood up, and we've enjoyed every minute of it. A ripple of what might have been laughter went through the assembly. The aliens were still getting used to the human concept of enjoying hardship. The Vegan system disaster is a perfect example, Park continued. The display showed a solar system where solar flares had made space travel impossible for other species. Federation ships couldn't operate there. The radiation would fry their electronics and kill their crews. But human ships are built tough, added Captain Sim Dong-hyun, Park's chief engineer. We flew right through the flare activity to rescue the research station crew. The radiation was actually less than what we get during Earth thunderstorms. Counselor Zelenth, a tree-like being, swayed with what humans had learned was amusement. You rescued our people from what we considered certain death, and you said it was good flying weather. It was, Captain Sim replied honestly. Nice challenge for the navigation systems. Ambassador Lee brought the presentation back to the bigger picture. The point is, humans aren't replacing the Federation. We're expanding what the Federation can do. The display changed to show the new galactic map. Previously forbidden zones were now marked in green. Dangerous regions were labeled as human accessible. The amount of explorable galaxy had doubled. We're not conquerors, Lee emphasized. We're not trying to take over anyone's territory. We're problem solvers. We go where others can't, do what others can't, and help everyone benefit from the results. Director Huang activated another display. Our cultural exchange programs have been successful too. We've learned to introduce human concepts gradually, in safe doses. The screen showed Federation citizens trying carefully controlled human experiences. Aliens exercising in low-gravity gyms designed for their capabilities, swimming in shallow, warm pools with no dangerous marine life, climbing small hills under heavy supervision. They can't do what we do, Huang explained, but they can experience diluted versions of human challenges, and many of them love it. Counselor Brixtall, a gaseous being, swirled with excitement. The endorphin response is universal. Controlled challenge produces satisfaction across species lines. Even small amounts of human-style difficulty make us feel more alive, added Counselor Thexmore, a silicon-based creature. You have given us the gift of, how do you say, personal growth. The session continued with reports from across Human Federation joint operations. Humans had become the galaxy's immune system, going into dangerous situations that protected everyone else. But more than that, they had introduced concepts that were transforming galactic culture. Competition, Ambassador Lee said, bringing up the final topic. 6 months ago, you thought humans were insane for enjoying physical contests. Now the Federation Olympic Games are scheduled for next year. The display showed aliens practicing modified versions of human sports. Low-gravity running for species that couldn't handle Earth-normal conditions. Swimming pools designed for beings who couldn't survive Earth's oceans. Contact sports adapted for fragile alien physiology. It turns out, Director Huang noted, that the desire to test oneself against challenges is universal. Humans just took it further than anyone thought possible. Admiral Park smiled, and we're happy to share what we've learned. As the session wound down, Ambassador Lee made one final point. 6 months ago, you were terrified that humans would dominate the galaxy. Instead, we've made the galaxy bigger. There are new worlds to explore, new challenges to overcome, new possibilities for everyone. The galaxy is more interesting now, agreed the collective mind, the ancient intelligence that had first explained human uniqueness. More dangerous but more alive. More human, added Counselor Veltar, the crystalline being from First Contact. And that has made us all more than we were. Later, as the formal session ended, Citizen Ko Young-ho made his way to the maintenance section of the station. He was just a regular guy from Seoul, working as an atmospheric technician on this Federation world. Nothing special, nothing threatening. But as he went about his routine work, alien citizens watched in amazement. He lifted equipment that required their mechanical assistance. He worked in environmental conditions that they needed protective gear to survive. He fixed problems in areas where they couldn't even go. To Ko, it was just another day at work. Fix the air recyclers, check the radiation shielding, test the gravity generators, basic maintenance stuff. To the aliens watching, it was a daily reminder that the universe was full of possibilities they had never imagined. At the end of his shift, Ko sent a message home to his family on Earth. Work's going well. Station's in a nice orbit around a binary star system. Good radiation shielding practice. Weather control systems are interesting. They actually have weather control here. Kids would love it. Thinking of recommending it for the school's Easy Mode field trip program next year. The message was automatically monitored by Federation security systems, where binary star system, radiation, and Easy Mode were flagged as potential security concerns. In the security office, alien analysts read the message and shook their heads. Some things about humans would never make sense, but that was okay. The galaxy was learning that making sense wasn't always necessary. Sometimes the impossible just became another Tuesday, and somehow that made everything better. In his small quarters, Ko looked out at the binary stars and smiled. Tomorrow he was scheduled to do some work in the high radiation section of the station. The aliens needed special protective suits just to deliver his lunch there. He was looking forward to it. It sounded like fun.